What are your sports that you like to do now?
So now, so I did the competitive powerlifting for 6 years. So I was in the USAPL, which is squat, bench, deadlift. And it's not what you look like, it's how much weight you pull. So you compete in squat, bench, deadlift, and then they total your numbers. I did that, and now I got kind of bored of that. I did that for a long time. If you do it anything competitively you talk to dancers, they say the same thing too. They just get sick of it.
Sure.
Or I guess anything. So now, being the moderated person that I am, I'm training to do an Ironman and some ultra marathons.
Cool.
And I'll just overdo it in another physical sector. I struggle doing things in the middle.
Okay. As long as they're healthy.
I
guess.
Are you a fitness person?
No. I'm very moderate, actually. I'm like moderately good at a lot of things, but not extreme at anything.
Did you do sports in high school or college?
Track. I was like number 6 out of a team of 10. Like, there you go. Very middle.
Oh, okay. But you did all that.
No. I just did like the cross country. It was like a 3-mile kind of race.
Where are you from originally? What state?
Connecticut.
Oh, okay. So you're from the Northeast here too. I'm from upstate New York.
Okay. Small town, 3,500 population, graduating class 50 kids.
Wait a minute. Is that you or me?
It's me.
Okay, that's like almost exactly my. I thought you were talking about me. I'm like, where the fuck is you?
No, because I feel like that is like what the upstate New York. My town was very much that. Like
really
cows to the left and the back.
Really? Yeah. Okay, so you're from a very similar upbringing.
Yes, rural.
Yeah, you just assume people in the city are all like metropolitan people, but
I think the Hicks are like, we're a small breed, but we made it.
You know what? I like you a little more already now. This is great. Okay, so you're from the woods too, yeah.
Woods,
this is why that vegan thing's not working.
Yeah, we'd have like
you gotta eat your meat.
A keg and a pickup truck. Well, the girls had like wine coolers.
Unbelievable. We used to do cornfield parties. Okay. So it'd be like meet in the cornfield.
We just went straight to the woods.
Did you do woods parties?
Woods parties.
I shit you not, over 10 years of being here, I'm yet to meet another person that did wood parties or cornfield parties.
Okay, well, cool. Here you go. It happened.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're cut from a similar cloth then. Yeah. How long you been down in New York now?
I moved the day after I graduated college.
Okay, so same. Well, I didn't go to college, but I moved down here when I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more or less the first chance you could.
Putting in the years. Yeah. I remember when I first moved down here, I was catering, which is just a fun job to do. I was catering, and I asked one of these guys, I'm like, how long have you been down here? He said, like, 10 years. I'm like, oh, you're a fucking dinosaur. 10 years?
So I remember being probably in college or just a new New Yorker and meeting a woman in Vermont at my aunt's house at a party, and she had like retired to Vermont, and she had said she lived here however many years, and I remember thinking, wow, I just want to make it 10 years so I will have been like a real New Yorker. Let's not date myself too much, but it's been more than 20.
Time moves by in the city. So you tell me a bit about yourself and your business and where you're at right now too.
So okay, that's a long story. Do you want to start at the beginning or the
let's
end?
Hear it. Yeah, let's hear it. Well, tell us what you have now, and then start from the beginning.
So basically, I have BICOASTAL Management, which is a full-service model and talent agency in New York and LA, with offices in New York and LA. And then I spun off a smaller traditional manager company that's Melissa Young Management, which was really very much spawned by my actors at BICOASTAL Management constantly asking me, do you know anyone casting this? Can you get me in this room? And so, I realized I had to get breakdowns, and then I researched the 2 different ways to get them, becoming a SAG franchise agent or becoming a talent manager association approved manager. And after researching both paths and seeing what my hurdles would be to both, I chose the one that would work. I honestly, there's a SAG thing, and I couldn't even be a SAG franchise agency and own BICOASTAL Management because the word BICOASTAL is already in another SAG agency's name. Now, I just found out today they keep getting our checks. So now I kind of get it. Yeah, it's a problem.
That is a problem.
Even though they have different words after the word bicoastal than we do, it's confusing. So maybe that was a smart thing. And also SAG will not allow you to own one company that's management and one that's agency.
Really?
And with the word management in our title, bicoastal management, it was like I'd have to do a whole huge rebranding. So at the end of the day, for me, it was just like, well, I just want to get the breakdowns. I just want to help people work. That's why I do what I do. I'm like a people person. I'm a connector, and I love the rush of that. And so I'm seeing people achieve their dreams, you know. So I spun off Melissa Young Management 5 months ago, something like that, and it's been very much 0 to 60, like to see the rooms we're getting called into, our people are getting called into in a really short amount of time, yeah. But so, it's just having amazing talent, you know, who are in demand.
So are you taking on new faces as well, or are you just rolling over? I took on
new faces for like a minute. And it just, and this is something I've learned. Like now I'm going like, I keep wanting people, but saying I really don't have room on my roster. And now I can see firsthand how extremely competitive this business is. Because when I started Melissa Young Management for the acting management, I was like looking to the actors I already knew. And now I'm getting referrals and direct emails of people with more credits and a better reel, maybe a better headshot, and I'm going, I can't take you because I had a number in mind and I went over my number, and now I'm only taking very specific, like if you match the age range and ethnicity and have a good reel and headshot, or at least I can see the potential is very clearly there, then I can make room. But otherwise, I just feel like, you know, if you're going to be a good manager, you can't have 150 people. You know, you have to know your people and be available to work for them and answer their questions and follow up for them and scrutinize their reel and analyze statistically how often they're getting called in and why maybe they're not. So yeah, so now I'm kind of very happy with my roster. I have a few holes I feel like I could fill as far as types and ethnicities, but for the most part it happened really quickly. So now I actually truly understand like an actor's struggle in finding that agent or manager. There are just so many people in this field, and you know, it's hard for us as agents or managers, I guess, to take on people when you generally have your people and you're working for them, and then you know, you don't want to overcrowd yourself because you want to do a good job.
You know, I was going to wait and ask this question but you're already kind of on the topic. So a lot of my clients that come in are young new actors. So many are looking for representation or an agent or a manager. Now, in the print business, it's a little bit easier to refer because they have their stills, and I can say, hey, reach out to this agency and you know, submit 2 or 3 year shots or find out their application process and how they do it. But with talent agencies and management agencies, like in the acting world, like it's, how the hell does an actor get in? Like, is there a straight line for an actor to get an agent? Or because there's not open calls, right?
No,
it's like, hey, I need a friend. Like, hey, you're friends with that manager or that agent. Can you hook? It's like, can you throw me a layup and like hook me up? And then like they gotta have this bullshit conversation with you. Is there a streamlined way to get an agent or a manager?
I think there was a recent, at least in LA, crackdown on, I think something they're calling like pay to play.
Like the actors green room, like in some of these places.
Or there's another one. So it used to be like you could at least be seen. I mean, I dabbled in acting. I joke like I have the heart for it, but not the stomach. And I have the business head of like, I need to feel productive. So I burnt out in like 6 months of lack of productivity. But then, you know, you could go and you could meet people and audition in front of them, and they might call you in and try you out. And if they truly make that like illegal, that is going to be a thing where I think we're taking away actually what was a good resource for an actor. And
it's the only way that makes sense.
And so the people get paid for their time. I mean, hopefully they're going into it wholeheartedly hoping to find someone that they could also work with, or they're giving advice. I don't think it's all bad in any way, unless one person is going with like yawn, not paying attention. But I think for the most part, that was a great way to be seen. I think now you submit, you want your materials to stand out. So if you can be working on your own, getting yourself some clips and a reel put together, and there are places to pay for a reel that are quite good, that's going to make you stand out. But you mentioned the word young. I will say that I have 3 actors that I'm managing, and even with them being young, or because they're young, doesn't matter that they don't have a reel or clips. They're getting called in for like amazing things and leads in films and things that are pilots or series or even direct to the shows and on network, because it's like, oh, you see their headshot. Clearly they look around 19, so they don't have much material. Well, they're new, but they're young, so we expect them to be new. So I think it's much easier to be starting in that 18 to 23 range than like 25 to 30, because then you're really competing with people who've already started establishing themselves. And like, I personally know someone who's at that graduating high school, great actor, but probably going to go to college for 4 years. And I'm like, God, I would love to manage you and like help you, because I feel like now's a great time, because there are not enough people who really think, you look at the shows for high school, they're often 5 to 10 years older. But if you're actually auditioning for high school and you're 18, 19, 20, you're building your craft, you have a great look, and you look authentically like the character. I think it's kind of helpful. Yeah. So that might be an advice to like, a friend or family member who definitely knew they wanted to do this, which is probably one of the hardest career paths. If you think that's the case and you wanted to take a year off and really throw yourself into it, I don't think that's a bad idea, because I think doors open kind of quickly when you're young. Yeah. It is. And when you're older, I think maybe you invest in having a reel made, because if you're just submitting on Backstage or whatever site, casting networks, and you're doing student films, you might get poor quality stuff that you can't use. You might never get it. So, investing $1,000 to $2,000 in a quality reel will get you noticed and might be the difference.
That's I've never thought about it on that perspective with the young kids. Like, you don't need to it's pretty obvious that if you're young, you're not going to have a 35-year-old reel of content material. Like, that's okay. It's
definitely more okay,
because being young is an advantage. I think in New York and Los Angeles, I feel like is a young person's market too. Yeah. Because you do start to think, as a casting director, I think, like, if you have no credits at a certain age, like, am I going to give you a shot? I've got 150 other people who look like they're the right type that have credits, or I've already called them in 5 times and they were good. Right. So I think there is an advantage to being young. And so if you are older, then yes, just invest in a good headshot, invest in a reel, be submitting yourself via email. I mean, some people do like the MailChimp and just announce what they're... Do you ever look at that stuff?
I do look at it. Yeah, I do. Because, and if someone is resending and they're saying, I was called back 3 out of 4 times, I was put on hold for this, and I look at their headshot, I'm like, I don't have anyone like them, or maybe I do, but my person didn't get callbacks for those, then I'm going to keep them in mind and maybe call them in.
Okay, so that's one way.
And then for print, just since that's how I started with BICOASTAL management. I used to be a fit model, so that's
okay,
how I
so
started.
you know that world. Okay.
Yeah. Fit, not fitness.
Yeah. Understood.
As a matter of fact, oh my God, this was made for me many years ago.
Really?
Oh,
that says a lot too. It's the same jacket size too.
Yeah. Once you're a fit model, it's like in your brain to weigh yourself every day and try to stay the same size. But so I was a fit model. I became pregnant with my middle child, and I said, like, what am I going to do now? I actually went to my agent at the time and asked if they needed help, and they were kind of like, not really. We could maybe hand you a scouting fee, but it was a very tiny percentage. And I was like, So I thought about the 3 things I know are like. One was yoga and healing and things like that. I'm also a certified teacher, and I was taking Reiki level 1.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's my passion.
Really?
Yeah, really what I'm like into on the side.
I'm going to get into that with you. Okay.
Okay, cool. The other was I was a philosophy major in college. Well, it's actually politics and philosophy, but I loved philosophy and like reading and writing. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go back to school and become like a philosophy professor. That could be a cool life. Or my girlfriend, who at the time was like a very well-paid, respected like executive at Google, said, my nickname was Mally. Mally, you do what you know. You've been doing this for 10 years. Like, this is where you've built your connections. Just start the agency. These other things have big startup costs. Like, do that. And I was like, okay. Now, of course, she wasn't like the first one or the only one, and my husband always gets mad. He's like, I said that too. I'm like, it was the one. And I just looked at her and her fancy Google career, and I was like, yeah, she's probably right.
Yeah.
So I started measuring people and other fit models I knew, and we started as BICOASTAL fitting models.
Really?
And then I kept meeting models who were not just fit models, but showroom and print and runway. So everything has been very like organic, natural, no business plan, started at my kitchen table, one step in front of the other, and based on who's coming in my door, what I need to do next. Like, how do I help you? You're not going to be a fit model, but you're gorgeous. Like, how do we get commercial beauty print?
You just figure it out as you go along.
Figured it out as I go.
God damn, so many people just overthink it. Just get started. I
totally agree.
Yeah.
I actually, so I think I have a good business head and instinct, but like I had been in my very early 20s brought in as a partner to do sales on a business, and that business had a lot of upfront expenses and a very long business plan, and we were like looking for investors, and I did the complete opposite, and the business it floated along for 3 years, but obviously it wasn't super successful, or I'd maybe still be doing that, right? But yeah, my motto is very much like one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
If I feel like an instinct or a calling to do something, I do it. And really starting another business when I'm like so busy already feels like crazy, but that's what like people do. You're like, well, this makes sense. I have to do it. I'll make the time for it, and it evolves and happens.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. If you have a good idea and it really excites you, and you feel it too, you're like, ooh, this can work. Yeah. And like, especially now, I mean, you have an established business too, where you like, it's a pretty natural or progressive step where it just makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we can say like, oh, I don't want to get overwhelmed. It's probably not in your blood to be, you're just not like that.
Right.
And
I think you have to be a good delegator too as you grow a business, because that's like always a thing where you have to know when you're maxed out and pass it on to good people, and finding good people to be on your team is also extremely important.
Yeah, difficult too. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to find like a good match.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Letting go of people is like the hardest thing ever.
Yeah. Unless they really need to let go.
Yeah. I actually, like, the first time I had to, I don't even like to say the word fire someone, but I like was up all night stressing out about it, can't sleep, and I was Googling articles, and one was like, more heart attacks occur.
Oh, really?
Yes, and management people like the night before they.
Oh, really? Before they have to cancel someone?
Yeah. So,
Oh,
and then I have another girlfriend, executive friend, and she was like, oh, I just laid off 70 people at my company. She's like, it gets easier.
It just gets easier. You just got to do it more often.
You just have to do it. It's a numbers thing.
I guess it's like anything, right?
Right.
But on a smaller scale too, unless you're a huge company, it's
right.
Especially when you're working side by side at a kitchen table or in a small office, and you have to let somebody go. That's personal. Yeah. I mean, you're pretty much. There's nowhere to divert that attention in the office where you go, well, have a good day. You like turn to your computer, after you. It can be awkward. I totally get it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not at my kitchen table anymore, for the record.
Yeah. You don't shine shoes no more.
It's been several years.
Old days. That's okay. I started in a basement in a house that I rented in New Jersey.
Wow.
And I was picking Tony-nominated actors up in my Corolla at the Willowbrook Mall in New Jersey.
Oh my God.
Driving them back to my house.
They were like serial killer?
Yeah, it's very rapey.
Oh God.
Down in my basement.
Oh my God.
Which I never called a basement. I called it the studio. And used Walmart curtains for the walls to hide like the washer and dryer. But
that's hilarious.
Classic startup story.
I have more silly startup notes, but I'm going to save them.
Unless
you really unless this is all about entrepreneurship.
No, you can talk about whatever you want. You take it wherever you want. I love those stories.
Okay, so this ties in with my whole yoga lifestyle, right? So I really believe, and I've read a lot of like those books, self-helpy books, but like that the universe, like when you're on the right path or you're open, you get signs and things happen. So my first intern literally offered to be my intern. She was like a nanny of a friend's kid at the park, and was like, "What?" And I was scouting the mom at the park and measuring her. Literally had a tape measure in my pocket, and she was like, "I'll be your intern." So she became my intern. Then I paid her as we grew, and she grew with us. And then the people next door from my apartment said, hey, we're thinking of putting the apartment on the market. We've done it like twice. This was when the market was met. And, we just wanted to see if you would want to buy it first. So I'm like, interesting. I'm outgrowing my kitchen table, and I'm 10 weeks pregnant with my third.
Wow.
So I'm like, the timing is really good because I own the other one. And if I had both, I could grow into this bigger apartment. But for now, I could have an office. So my assistant goes, I'll split it with you. Like, if you can buy it, like whatever the overhead is, I'll split it with you. So I was like, this is crazy.
Wow.
No brainer. Like, life is making this really easy for me.
Yeah.
So that was my first office, the apartment next door, which my assistant split with me. We put a curtain up, and she had a bed behind the curtain, and we had her TV hidden by like one of those three-way folding things. And so you came in, it looked basically like an office. If someone went to the bathroom, they had to go around the curtain and see that there was a bed there.
Oh my God, this is great.
That was like my first couple-year office.
I did this. I did the Murphy bed for a period of time too. Like fold Murphy up, close the curtains.
Right. You do. But I think this is also like this whole like starting a business. I think like the more you can stay within your budget, the better.
Yes.
And I always tell people when they come in or like have a story about being with an agency who didn't pay them or took them like 6 months to pay them, like, I will never spend your money. Like, the way I operate is I'm a Virgo, so like I'm very much like about being on top of finances, and so I'd rather live below my means, even as a business, than above and not be too lavish.
Right.
And the important thing is you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
In the market, and
I've found too, because you always hear about growing too fast with businesses, and I found like whenever you feel like you're ready to make a move, personally I'll sit for another 6 months to a year, and then I'll make the move. Like maximize your resources and some before, cause especially if it's new and you start getting a little business, like you don't know the roller, like you don't know the curves of the year.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden you take on more than you can handle, and it's not good
It's not good, and it happens all the time that models will tell us that they didn't get paid, or I see business models where they're actually making so much money off what they're charging for web fees, or marking up comp cards, marking up headshots, selling these packages, and like you run the numbers and run it by how many people are on their boards. It's like, oh well, they just paid 2 full-time employees.
Right.
So we actually keep those things a little bit lower and try to keep our budget very tight and make sure we're booking people to make money.
Yeah, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Now, when you started, who the hell did you reach out? Like, how did you start the name? You probably built a website, but then you're as a model, you don't have like the inside connections in terms of like clients be like, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah.
You just had to start from scratch with that?
I started from scratch, and to be honest, who I knew already from having been a fit model, I was a pretty successful fit model. When I got pregnant, I had been working with Marc Jacobs, Vera Wang, DKNY, Jones, New York, several brands, and I had already been in and out once because I had been pregnant once. So I'd been in it 10 years and a couple times over. But this is also an interesting thing, I think, people often say about business, or like your friends are kind of afraid to help you because what if they call you in and then you fail or something, so I didn't have a lot of luck with the connections I did have, not right off the bat. I had one amazing friend, woman, client who did help me out.
Yeah.
I'll say her first name if she ever watches this, Mackenzie. And she said, oh, I know a model who's not happy with her agency. She hasn't been paid. Do you want to take her on? We're booking her like an hour a week. Sure, absolutely. So I took on this one model. But I was looking for my replacement to my accounts, and I was measuring all these size 6s, but now I had 1+ model. Then same person said, we're looking for a petite model. Can you find us someone? This was when Craigslist was not like perceived as sketchy at all, and like the place to go to post for anything. So I posted on Craigslist. I held a casting. I think I borrowed my friend's like apartment that was also their design studio because they were a designer, and I just started. Also, I knew that clients liked seeing models' bodies without posing for fit. And so they'd be like, oh, I get this comp card, but like, how can I tell her body when she's like this? Yeah. So I would just take front, side, back, basically very straight digitals, no knee bend, nothing, so they could see shoulders and shape. And like, that was kind of my design, and I was the only one doing it at the time. So as I started calling other companies, hey, I knew the title I was looking for, Google any number, right? I would start sending them spec sheets. And fortunately, because of the friends I already had who were fitting, I had some fit models with resumes, with proven fits. So I could get the door open with them.
Wow.
Or it didn't hurt to have them. I mean, actually, sometimes like a model just takes off in 3 months. She's just right. And it doesn't matter that she has no resume.
Were you comfortable negotiating rates, and did you even know how the hell?
Yeah, because I knew the rate. I knew the rates for fit at the very least.
Okay,
and then
so
as we spun off into growing, I mean, I kind of had a ballpark. Our models come in, I'm doing like this show at the Javits Center. Oh, what are you getting paid? You know, one's getting paid this, one's getting paid this, and now I have a good range. Because you do have to talk to a client with some sort of confidence about what the rate should be.
Right.
And then with other systems now, like casting networks, people are putting the rates out, so there's not always room for negotiation. It's just kind of like, this is the rate.
That's the flat rate, and they just have to take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And how about rates and usage? Because that's a complex
thing.
With
like web and social, the in perpetuity thing was something like the first year we were like, yeah, it's cool, I guess. It's going to get buried, and you're getting paid a relatively small amount to do social. But now we're a lot more picky about it because, as I'm sure you know, like social and online media has taken up more of the market. It's taking market away from print.
Yeah.
So we can't like look at it as this lower valued thing. It's really not anymore. So what started out as being like in perpetuity is now more like, well, then pay more, or 1 year or 2 year, because it could be a thing where me as client books you as model, and I have let's say relatively inexpensive day, $400, $500, $600 day, and now I have the right in perpetuity. You then pick up a campaign, you now have a recognizable face, and you got paid well for that one, and now I'm going to just repost, and now I look like super cool because I have that model that everyone recognizes.
Wow.
So that's a risk factor with in perpetuity.
Yeah, social media really changed a lot with this.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it's just so easy to like re-upload, repost.
And then you have an office in California as well?
Yep.
And
that was another like sort of meant to be spin-off. Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't like, well, I have to be bicoastal because it sounds good.
I started bicoastal because I was engaged or married at that time, I can't remember, but to someone from LA.
Oh, okay.
And he was transitioning from being a musician to like wanting to have a family, and I was a model, so we model, a musician, who's gonna have health insurance? But yeah, he was sort of figuring out his path, and we weren't sure if he was going to take a job offer there or where we'd be in 3 years, So it's like, well, let's do bicoastal. And I think I, at that point, maybe knew one model, or I started seeking them out. Maybe LinkedIn, I found a model who was already experienced and signed her. And so I started building a little fit model base, and that was bringing in a little bit of money. And then again, with one of those like fated things where the universe is going like, hey, I'll make it easy for you. A family friend had someone who was a couple years out of college, had been working in fashion, loved the idea of working for an agency. And she was like, I'm going to fly out. We'll do like an in-person, like we did a phone interview. She's like, no pressure, but I'm gonna come out and like just shadow so I can understand your business, and we'll see. So we did that, and at the end of the week, I'm like, look, if you wanna come work here, I could use you here. We'll do like 6 months to a year, and then we'll transition you to LA, and we'll open an LA like proper office, because at that time it was mostly, I would take trips out, meet the models, rent a space to measure, take Polaroids, and then I would run it from New York, be available till 9 p.m., on emails and phone. So she was amazing, is amazing, Jessica, when she watches this one day. And she went to the LA office after a year of being in New York, to basically run that space. It was, really like something I always was like, I need to do this, but who would I hire? Who could I trust to do it the way I would want to do it. And she had the freedom to just come to New York. She had girlfriends here that she lived with. They were all like having this New York year, all these like LA friends. So it really was like this cool win-win synergistic thing.
So she just came out here.
She came out
shadowed, and then moved back.
And she came to shadow for the week, and then I like hired her to be a booker in New York. And she had a year with me.
Wow.
So that like by the time we were ready and she was ready, I had complete faith that I knew who was going to be running that office, since I couldn't physically be in two places.
I love this story.
Thanks.
Are you back and forth a lot?
A little.
Like are you there once? You're not there
three times a year.
Okay, so it's not like once a week or once twice a month or anything like that.
It's like once a season, except for summer usually.
Do you like California? Do you think you could end up out there?
I kind of love it. It's grown on me a lot for sure. The traffic thing and the driving thing definitely detracts from it. Yeah. But like the lemon tree in your backyard and the barbecuing year round, there's a lot of good things about it.
I really like it out there. You know, you hear a lot of New Yorkers trash talk it a bit, but you know, if it's superficial, blah blah blah. But don't hang with those.
Find your people.
Yeah, don't hang with those people. Yeah. They're here too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know New York and LA have a different vibe.
Oh wait, have you heard this awesome expression? Okay, hold on, let me get it right. The New Yorkers have a mean way of being nice, but LA people have a nice way of being mean.
That's
that
good.
Is it exactly.
That hits a nail on that.
We're truly, I think New Yorkers are like some of the nicest people. I never understand when people think New Yorkers aren't nice. I'm like, I'll stop on the street if someone looks lost. Yeah. Because I'm like a people person, and most of us are. We can't help it. We're sardines half the time.
Well, a lot of us are transplants too. Right. We're not like hardened inner city people. Like a lot of us are transplants from other places, like other nice normal places,
and we're like pressed for time, so we might look like we're not nice, but that doesn't mean we're not. Actually was in Vermont getting like a bagel scooped out, and I got such attitude. I was like, well, in New York this is no problem, and customer service is very nice. Like here, geez Louise, sorry, I want my bagel scooped out. There's like nobody in line behind me.
That's hilarious.
It's funny. I'm like, I think the reputation should be Vermonters are not nice. Sorry Vermonters, I'm just joking.
There's a funny T-shirt on that too. Oh, I forget. If it hits me, I'll say it. When you look at when someone's contacting you, how important is their I mean, really all they have is their headshot and their resume and maybe a website. Mm-hmm. How important is their headshot? I'm not asking this as a photographer. I'm actually truly curious, because I feel like that is becoming more important, but you would assume their reel would be most important.
For me, the reel is the most important. Right. Yeah. Though you can have a great headshot and no reel, and if you're the box I'm looking to fill, I'll definitely call you in, because then I'm like, well, let's see. It's a great look. Yeah. They're obviously professional. I mean, I feel like when I have someone who's great and they're trying not to spend any money, right, because they're not making any money in the industry yet, but I can see that they're great because, say, like some of my younger people who are getting called in, and I'm seeing them like do self-tape, so I'm getting chills watching them act. Okay, they're good. Like, I want them to invest in that headshot, because I think it's just, okay, you look like a professional now. People's first quick take of your headshot when they look at, in this casting format, 100 heads, is that you're professional, and they're going to click on it to learn more about you and give you a chance. So I think for me, like, I look at the reel kind of first, but I think the headshot is almost equally important. Because if you have an unprofessional headshot, you might not even get someone to click on your reel. You know what I mean? Right.
And then the resume, I guess you would look at the resume afterwards. If they're young, obviously you said like it is what it is. If you're 19 or 21, 22. Yeah. How about the website? The website, is that how important is that?
I think I go there last. I don't know that it's super important for submitting.
Yeah, who's looking at the actor websites?
I think the agents and managers. Yeah. I don't think clients so much.
Yeah, like I wouldn't.
Nobody has time. Yeah. We're like, everybody in this industry is so freaking busy. And so even for me, like, it's hard to answer every email or go into every detail that I want to. So I'm just imagining, what if I'm the casting director at this or that network, or you're not only like calling people in, seeing them, taping them, pitching them to producers, you're going through the feed of the submissions for multiple roles, so probably thousands of faces. So this kind of comes back to headshot. Like, you're seeing headshot first. If you're going to even click on it and see if the reel is good, like, let there be a headshot that makes someone want to click on it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I think if the acting is good on the reel, there's great potential there.
Yeah.
Maybe that acting on that reel was a bought reel.
Yeah.
But they were believable in their character.
Yeah.
So then I'm looking at the resume going, oh, wait, like, they've only done nothing. So how'd they have this great reel? Oh, they bought it, but they were good. So I believe someone will call them in, and, you know, they will. It just takes a little time.
How analytical are you with, because you always hear this too, like, you know, be persistent. Maybe they just have someone on their board that already looks like and fills the slot. Try again later. Maybe they'll drop, you know, who knows? How... That can happen, right?
It definitely can happen.
I mean, there's only so many types, because it is a TV and film is very visually based. No.
Sure.
And so, how analytical are you? Do you really have sort of like not check boxes?
No,
literally?
I really do. Like, I need Hispanics over 40. It's specific, because I can have 100 great actors, but if none of them is going to fill that category when I'm working on, and I'm seeing that category regularly, like, I'm missing out on an opportunity to book someone.
Right.
So it does come down to how many blondes in this age range, how many African Americans in this age range.
Yeah.
You know, and then are they different from each other?
Yeah.
You know, maybe one's the aspirational attractive and one's like more comedic and charactery. So, you know, there's something for everyone, and anyone can be a working actor, I think.
And there's so many variables to it too, aren't there? I mean, it's an interesting business. I have a friend that's an actor, and he was called on actually a big pilot out in LA. They narrowed down, manager sent up, they flew them out next day. They only had narrowed down to 3 people. He did it. They loved him. Manager said, you got this for sure. And then it turns out the studio went with another gentleman who is an African American, so like he's more Latino looking. They just need to go like more ethnic, I guess, was what the studio said. So, and then the lead was already booked, and they went with the African American guy. Fast forward 4 days, they released the African American guy, went with a B-list actor, and bumped the main lead guy. He got fired and replaced someone else.
Oh my gosh.
It's such an emotional roller coaster ride. It must.
Know.
It's the same on your end, though. I mean, you're the one dealing with it.
Right.
I guess you just ride the roller coaster and you sort of detach a little bit.
Well, yes, and at that point, I think you're there for your actor to be like a support system, because as much as it's sad for me, like, it's so much sadder for them if they had their hopes up and they put their heart and soul into their audition and think they have it and then don't. You know, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Murphy was like famous or repeated for saying, you know, if you can do something else, do it.
There's a lot of reasons
only do this if this is like the only you feel like you need to,
right?
You know, and then have fun with it. And at least like we're in a time where you can create your own content and try to market it and become Insta famous, and then people will be coming to you.
Do you represent like influencers, or do you look at their following? I mean, that must come into account.
For BICOASTAL management, we do
like exclusive like influencers. When
so
are you technically an influencer?
Has like print, runway, commercial, fitness, and influencers. So the stuff that I see, like the really juicy castings for, is looking for 1 million followers and over.
Okay, so that's...
But they are making real money. Like they're making 10, 20K for something they're doing for a couple hours.
Wow.
So goals, you know, I mean, it's very easy, I think, or not very easy, it's hard. But it's easier for me to find people with 100 to 300,000 followers. But for those like bigger fish clients, they're looking for 1 million and up.
1 million up. That's really when you're kid. Yeah,
that's really when you're like living the life.
I have some of these kids reach out to me and they're like, "I'm an influencer. So if you want to shoot me, I'll let you use some of my pictures to post. Which is like fucking pissed. Like that's
How many
just
followers do they have?
Like 10K, 8K.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
But like that's their bargaining chip to like get free shit.
Well, it's working.
It works for some, yeah.
Some
but then it's like, all right, let's see your data. Like, where are you located? Like, are you even based in New York? Are you
right? Who are your followers?
Yeah, who are your followers and all right? And then
I will
crickets.
Admit, I once hired a company to like help me build my following a few years ago, and it was like, I don't know, a little trial run or something, 3 months, and I was like, okay, what are they doing? They're following all these people, and they're saying they're going to follow them and unfollow, but like I'm following a dog named Satan, and like just like random things. I was like, if anyone looks at this, is like embarrassing. Done.
Yeah.
I don't know about the buying your follower thing.
Yeah, I don't know how well that works. I feel like you just really have to have good organic material where people are genuinely interested. There's a woman I photographed, and actually I did shot it with her yesterday, the podcast yesterday with her. This woman, Janine Delaney, and she's 49 years old, and she's like super jacked. She came to me almost 2 years ago now, and her kids got her on. Within like 3 weeks, she had 15,000 followers.
What?
Yeah. And fast forward 2 years, she now has over 2 million.
What?
Yeah.
Can I have her contact info?
Yeah. I'll connect you. And it's like now with the stuff that she's doing, like, and she has a regular job.
Wow.
But now it's like, yeah, obviously getting in the way. And she's but I talked to her about like buying your followers and all that, and she's like, that's not the best approach. But it takes a lot of work too. I mean, she dedicates.
But in 3 weeks, like what were her tags? What made
I have no
follow
idea.
her?
First of all, if I showed you a picture of her, you'd be like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. And also, she's a regular person. She has 2 kids. She works a job. So she's not like this house mom that's like has this rich extraordinary life, and all she does is like, look at me. She works a regular, she's very regular life, and yet she's able to like stay insanely in shape, and she's got like 6-pack. I mean, she's pretty tuned up, and then she's very engaged. Like, she writes real posts, and I know she's very like hyper anal with what she writes. She's very structured and organized. You can read all of her posts. Like, she's responding to everyone. I can't imagine how much time she puts into it.
Yeah.
But
it's a commitment.
It is. But now she's just she's sponsored by fitness company, like they're coming to her.
I mean, that's a lot of followers. 2 million followers.
Yeah. A little over now.
Super impressive.
Yeah. In a very short period of time. And I think she was saying that YouTube was asking her not so much about her fitness, but like how do you go about doing that? Like the actual like right. Like, let's talk about that. Yeah. Like, that was what interested them. But and actually, I think she is looking for a rep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll connect you. And 3 kids. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's
how are you doing this? No, with you.
Yeah,
you have on both coasts, like all these boards.
Yeah. Well,
Man.
like I mentioned, having an amazing team is super helpful. Like, I couldn't do it all myself.
Yeah. But you still must put in the hours. I mean.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm also kind of ADD and anal, and I have every single person's email on my phone, and I skim, and I like to know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's hard to like let go and not know what every client like booked last.
Yeah.
There's a time I knew every client and what they liked and what they didn't like, what they were paying and what they looked for. So I've had to like be a little bit more managerial and guide the ship and pick new frontiers and whatever. But so it's and the kids are amazing. It was a little hard with my youngest, I think, because she got the most of having a busy mom. My first, I hadn't started the business until she was like 6 or something. So, it was like a part-time business at first, of course, because you can't do 45 hours a week of something brand new. Well, I guess you could, but for me, it kind of grew. The first year was a little bit more manageable sort of schedule as a mom. And for my youngest, it was a little hard. I think she would say, like, Mommy, you should marry your phone. You love your phone more than me. There were definitely, I had to learn not to, like, I couldn't let her read while I did work emails.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn as a parent, like, to shut down, be present, make special time, truly special time, because then there can be less of it also, which is like, if you're giving your kid real quality attention for a half an hour and talking to them and making eye contact and complimenting them and reinforcing them and all those good things, and like they're not going to be climbing up you constantly. Maybe. She's still like, I can't make a work phone call at home without her following me. Like, I go in the bathroom, lock the door. But fortunately, I don't have to make too many work calls from home because now all my kids are in school and after school, so I kind of
Oh my God, that must make such a big difference. Having when the kids are in school and they're not home, you have the kids out of the house.
Yeah. I mean, I know other people do like the nanny thing, and we did some of that, but we never really committed to like the full-time nanny for life. And in some ways I regret that, because I think people that do, like, it's so nice their kids have that consistency. And yes, at a certain point you're spending a lot of money for someone you need like 2 hours a day, but the kids have this great consistency, and if they're sick, you don't have to take a day off work. And but the flip side is, I feel like I've done my best at both, and I'm as present as I can possibly be. And so if there's a sick day, my husband came in, so after the musician thing, he went into finance, and he worked for a couple different companies. The last one was Merrill Lynch, and then he became my CFO. So so he's
Is this your husband now?
Yeah, my husband now.
Okay,
so so between the two of us, we own our own business, so we can be a little flexible.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
it's such a blessing. Like, you know, you can't make every family Friday, but maybe we can alternate, or maybe we both are flexible and sharing the load of parenting and work.
Oh, you guys are living the dream. In theory, on paper.
I mean, other than having possibly won the lotto and just chilled out and done yoga.
Oh my God, that would be nice too. Yeah, but then you'd be like, I could start my own yoga
probably
studio.
Probably started a yoga business.
You know, okay, yoga. I don't know how many clients of mine have told me that I should do yoga. I have nothing against it. In my lifting days, I was like, anything but powerlifting. I was like,
Yeah.
But now I hear so many good things about, and a lot of these triathletes and fighters are all doing this, doing yoga. I mean, are you still in? I'm assuming you're still into it.
I am.
And there's all different types of yoga, right?
There are all different types. And so when I found yoga, I walked by a little yoga storefront, and there was a sign outside, and it was like, new student special, $20 unlimited week. So that was for me like a great way to just like throw myself in, try all different types of classes, see which teacher I liked and felt connected to. And then I was pretty much sold. But I've done plenty of yoga classes since finding that school and those teachers where the class was like what I needed, that I could take or leave. So I liked Kundalini yoga. It's like the weird one, but it's like a lot of weird breathing. Like, you'll do this for 3 minutes. I can't do it. I'm gonna like snot on your microphone. But like, it's called Breath of Fire, and you pump your navel, and it's about like moving your energy from your third chakra to your seventh. So like, I love all like the words, and this is like goes back to me being a philosophy major. Like, make this like deep and cool for me. I don't want to just stretch and do Warrior 1 and 2. I want to know that I'm moving like energy through my chakras and what that chakra's for, and it like totally occupies my mind. I'm not distracted with like work thoughts or what I want to eat next or what I have to do. I'm like totally immersed in. And then you're chanting, doing a lot of different chants with this one, and hand mudras.
Ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah,
I haven't even heard of this.
It's kind of like...
It's a little culty? Does it feel culty?
My husband totally says it's culty, but I'm like, they have not taken my money. They have not made me like change my life. It's only made me feel like really good. And I think it's like, I don't know. I think it's amazing. But so Kundalini, and then my teacher spun off another one called Nam. Nam is like the word, so it's a lot of chanting stuff. I don't do it often because I don't have a ton of time, but I feel like it was the sort of thing that like is in me now, and it's always there as like a resource. And I go now because it's just convenient to Jiv Mukti yoga when I go, because at this point in my life with 3 kids and work, I can't when I got into it, I had no kids, and I was fit modeling like 20 hours a week, so it was very easy to be like, I'll go where I want to go. I'll take back-to-back classes.
Those days are over.
But it's totally because it's mind, body, and like your endorphins or whatever when you're using your breath this way. It's they say it's like for your nervous system and your adrenal glands and all these different things beyond just like
there's science backing this up now. There's this guy Windhoff. He's from Europe. I forget. I don't know if he's Austrian. But he does a lot of these like ice water baths and swims in the water during the winter. But it's all breathing based. And he set out on a mission to have science back this up on the proven benefits of these different breathing techniques. It actually sounds quite similar.
Yeah, I'm sure, because there's like alternate nostril breathing.
Yes, all this.
You feel different. You just Google Kundalini yoga and like on YouTube and do one of these moving meditations. I would say for 11 minutes, and you'll see you're like on a different plane when you're done.
I'd like to try this.
Okay.
And then you also do Reiki.
I did level 1 training. I mean, I've done Kabbalah of birth. I've done.
Wait, what's that?
It's just like a certification.
Okay.
I'm actually have certified a few times over as a yoga teacher.
Wow.
Because I was like loving it, and you want to love it, immerse yourself in it.
Yeah.
So Reiki, I did level 1. And then this kind of transition happened where I was am I becoming like a model agent or a healer? So I think I'm like a super nice model agent who tries to be kind. And like, I think that's one thing that we've heard from our models more than not. It's like, you're the nicest agency. And I'm always so proud of that. But I feel like, this like old school reputation of an agency that makes you feel bad, or like tells you what to eat and what not to eat, or blames you for not getting booked and looks down at you. Like, that's the opposite of our vibe.
It's so nice that you're conscious of that, because those people are definitely out there still. They definitely are. Yeah, and I deal with some of them, and it's nice that you're aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, it's an industry that leans itself to not being respectful in a way, right? Because we're judging people for their exteriors. Yeah. And so you have to, like, I think, kind of be conscious. And thankfully, we're in like a time where there's so much body positivity and diversity. And like, I think it's happening now in a bigger way, where the market is recognizing that, like, it's not really healthy to only put forth a couple like standards of beauty for anyone. So I think like the industry is supporting what we've had as a philosophy all along.
Yeah. Speaking of like body image and all that, what are your thoughts with the retouching and headshots?
So I think that you shouldn't retouch something out that if you're like on camera, it's going to be there. Like, leave a mole, leave a birthmark. I think that people are so used to like crow's feet being a little retouched out, that little like wrinkly things, those are fine to retouch.
Yeah.
Do you have a classical music ring?
Yeah.
That's really pretty.
But it should have been turned off. Oh, you know what? It's because my phone's over there. That's what I tell people too with the retouching. Like, you need to look like yourself. I feel like the trend's changing too. It used to be a little sort of glamorized with the retouching and overexposure and kind of keeping it cleaner. And now I think the trend, and even with my work, it's getting a little, not only grittier, but more real. Like, it's okay to, like, certain lines are okay.
Right. You have to be your age.
Right. Exactly. Right? You have to look like yourself. And the same thing with hair and makeup too, where my opinion is changing a little bit too, where it shouldn't be over the top, of course, unless it's someone that really has like that's their thing, or that's their MO, where they have the bright red or whatever it is.
Agreed. I think we usually see like options come through, and then I usually have one lead, and then those for more character-y types. But my lead is always the one that's the most natural, real you. Yeah. I hate when photographers do that like circle over the pupil. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You mean like the highlight?
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah,
sorry, you don't do that too.
No,
don't do that. I've never noticed that.
That's my thing.
Oh my god.
No, I'm joking.
No, like, I'm sure I would never refer to you.
No, it's called a ring light.
It just looks. I feel like people are drawing them in.
It's a very.
Sometimes they're not right on the pupil. They're like off.
It's a very like I would say like a generic portrait light, where it's like it's one light. That's all they need for the shoot. It's like the cheapest way to get like direct light on the face. It's a donut, and the camera shoots through it.
I thought they were like trying to do a little highlight and edit. Okay.
No, if we're talking about the same thing, where it's like the white donut, and it just looks like shit, and that's they called the catch light, and it just looks like a UFO in their eye. It doesn't look good.
It's really distracting.
Yeah, I agree. And then that has to be retouched out. But if you retouch all of it, then they look like a snake eyes or something, where there's no highlight. There needs to be some of it. Yeah. So that's a pain in the ass to remove, or can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like the trend with the images too, headshots are a weird type of photo because it needs to fit within this the space of looking like an actor headshot. Can't be too artistic portrait. It can't look too dated. You don't want to have them like camera up here shooting down on them and they're like leaning in on their knee like circa 1990 headshot. Right. The red brick wall, all that. It's an interesting image. You really have to stay on, at least from a photographer, and try to find what works, what's current, what's marketable. There's a lot of things to try to take into consideration to stay on it with it. It's its own special little thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know who the photographer who is doing like the blurred cars behind headshots. That kind of bothered me.
I know that.
You haven't seen that one?
No.
Okay. It's like they shoot outside in the city and then they blur the cars.
Oh, it's like all out of focus.
Yeah.
Was he like? Is it kind of like in Tribeca, Cobblestone Street with that?
Yeah.
To me, that's a little dated.
I feel like it's dated too.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think even doing something like that could be a trend is like a potential future dating. So
yeah,
like a nice standard, like you've captured the person's essence, the lighting is beautiful, their eyes are really connected. Yeah. Maybe you try it with a couple different backdrops so we have variety. You know, those are like kind of what we usually are drawn to. Yeah,
and just keep it fairly simple. Yeah. Are things becoming more character driven with the looks?
So that's an interesting question because I don't know that I'm the best person to give an answer, right? Like the person who's looking at the casting director, I think would be the best person. And I've asked someone recently who assists at a casting office because I'm always like, I don't want a picture of someone in their like nurse costume. But they were like, well, we just actually had a role for a nurse, and out of all the submissions, we called in like 12 people, and of those 12, 5 of them did have the nurse costume.
No shit.
Yeah.
So I always shit on that.
I do too. I always was like, why? I just want to see the face. You don't need to like imagine them in this blue uniform. Man,
really?
But so statistically, like 5 out of 12, it like benefited about half. Yeah, I feel less than half.
I feel like I see more of that in Los Angeles, where it's like they're doing the cop.
It was. This conversation was in Los Angeles.
Okay, so that makes sense. And it's like the shittiest, like baby blue background, and it's like, oh, these are horrible. And like this is what they're working with. Throw on
glasses and look goofy. Like it drives me crazy too.
I feel like there's a flavor of that happening in New York, but it's not that sticky in terms of like that character driven, where it's like, I'm a cop. Here's the badge and the hat.
Like to me, it feels very like extra-y, and so I feel like if you're like a good actor, and this is also, obviously I've been referring you, so I like your work, but like why I like your work, I feel like I don't need all those different things. I just want to see like the nature of the person and like their essence, and like you can imagine them with glasses or with the nurse's costume. Yeah. But yeah, I think my one Q&A on that, which was in LA, was kind of giving me the idea that maybe it isn't a bad thing to have
to try. Oh shit, somebody just asked me about that.
Don't let me sell you on that idea, because I still in my heart don't know that I think it's cheesy.
I probably won't be sending any of your people back with their pictures in a cop uniform or a nurse outfit unless you special request that. I'm sure we could figure a way to make that look good. Though the nurse, I'd have to try hard on that one. How'd you find out about me, by the way? Did I shoot one of your clients?
Exactly. And then I went to your website and I was like, oh, there's another of my clients.
Really?
Yeah. I think originally it was maybe Whitney and then Emily. Whitney and Emily were amongst the first two.
Emily. You don't have to say her name, I'm thinking.
S.
Yeah,
blonde.
okay, I know you are.
Okay.
She got good stuff this time. She's good in front of the camera.
She sure is.
And she's an awesome artist, too. I don't know if you've ever seen her work.
No. Now I know I have to look that up.
She's a really good painter.
Cool.
Yeah. Interesting. It's I never get to have the conversation. I never get to really have a sit-down conversation with someone on the other end. And actually, rarely do I actually get to meet the person either, because our life is through emails and phone calls. So it's I love hearing. I really love hearing the entrepreneurship side of you starting your business. Actually, I share a lot of the same outlooks on, if you have an idea, just get started with it. Like, it's good to have a plan, and you need to have a plan once you really get into it. You can't wing it forever.
Yeah.
But if you have
you have to do your homework.
Yeah.
You have to, But I think when people get caught up on like the big picture, they just don't take the first step. And so just starting,
Just
you know,
start.
do something.
What's the next step for you? Like, where do you want to take it?
Well, the Melissa Young Management Company is only relatively, new. It launched in November. So now I'm just like enjoying getting phone calls from like Warner Brothers. Like, Warner Brothers is on the phone.
That's so great.
Yeah, like now there's just, it's the tip of the iceberg of what's going to be happening for our actors, I guess. And as I, fine tune my board over the next couple of years, I think it'll be really exciting to see. For BICOASTAL, the influencer board is something we're just adding and building and marketing. So that'll be super interesting. And I have to add more members to my team because my team's working really hard. So I need more people on it so that they can take a breather here and there.
That's such a good place to be.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Are you looking for new talent? Should people be reaching out to you, or are you maxed out?
So it's hard for me as such a people person. I loved the growth period where I felt like I could take everyone and there'll be something for you. And that possibly and probably was viewed as a negative by some of my models at the time. I remember one saying you have the reputation of taking everyone, but then again well, maybe I'm taking them and they're not going to compete with you for this beauty thing, but they're going to book a pharma, so, but now we really are not taking on many more people. We're probably trimming the boards where we have people that if they're not really getting called in, or they're getting called in, but they can't make 3 out of 4 auditions, castings. So we're staying about the same size in the world of our talent, I think, or removing some to add some. So people can always submit. We're certainly not looking for newbies with no photos unless they really have a cool look and vibe that they're putting across. That you can just see that there's real potential there. For the most part, at this point in my business, I need people who I can hit the ground running with because I want to get them straight out to castings and straight out in packages. Now, if they have just started, but they're willing to invest and do shoots, then that's part of what we do is help them develop. In
terms of building a portfolio or getting,
But it's when someone just sends a selfie.
Really?
No, people do that.
That's so lazy.
Oh, I know. I don't know. I think it's funny because if you're a model or an actor, this is a business and you have startup business costs. So you probably should know that you're going to have to put a few $100s into getting your start to be looked at. But there's so many people that don't, I think, that just reach out hey, do you have open calls? I've got nothing. Again, if they are you could tell they're remarkable and they're that stunning fashion model type, or they're even real person, but a super cool look, freckles and ethnically ambiguous and feel natural in front of the camera, it can happen. But
sure.
And I scout people. I actually scouted one of the first, the client that was on your website, Whitney.
Really?
Walking down the street, I was she's definitely a model or actor. Her hair and makeup was all done. She was I actually just came from a casting, and that's how we started working together. I scouted a lot of my talent, not a lot, but a good handful of 4 or 5 people who have been with me for years, and I saw on the street or were my waiter or waitress.
Scouting probably works better as a woman than a man, doesn't it?
I think, you have to. I mean,
I'm an agent.
I actually have cards that say you've been scouted, so I could make it really, if they look really don't talk to me, I'm just here you go. Yeah.
This way it's not too creepy. You can just let them do their own Google search.
Sometimes I scout people that are I'm with IMG, Oh, yeah. I'm okay then. Wow.
Well, if you're ever reconsidering.
Yeah.
It's oh, that's what I was going to ask. Have you working with actors and models who can be notoriously unreliable too, having, do you really let people go if they're always not available?
I mean, if I think they're great and they're getting called in, that's always the hard thing. You're getting called in and you're not going. Ugh, why you're throwing these chances away.
But doesn't it reflect poorly on you as well?
Well, yeah. I mean, it reflects more. Other things are way worse. Like if they go in and they get a call back and then they're like, "Oh, I'm not available for the shoot dates."
That's like a big no-no.
Yeah, but if you're just getting called in, they're calling in multiple people, so I don't think they notice so much if you are turning down an audition. Especially like the next one might be a different casting director, the next one might be a different client, so it's not so obvious to the clients.
Right.
But it's obvious to us if you're saying no 3 out of 4 times. So just this past week, I had to ask someone like, well, what are we doing? Are we still doing this? Like, I don't want to waste your time and my time if you are, because a lot of people come in and like, I have a job, but I have some flexibility and I really want to get,
Did you talk to those people or no?
Yeah, I take them at face value that they actually have flexibility. I've had lawyers, architects, I've had all sorts of people that want to dabble, and that will book, 4 times a year and audition 10 times a year, and that works with their schedule. Yeah. But when they stop making them, like when it's more often a no than a yes, then we have to say like, probably this isn't making sense for either of us. Like it's not the door's not closed, but I'm going to move you to my dormant file and tell me when you have more time.
Yeah. Oh, you sound like you're pretty cool with everyone.
I try.
God, there's some people that are vicious.
Yeah.
But I just think that's not necessary to be vicious. I think like how you handle it is how it should be done. It's, be friendly and direct.
It's our country background.
Yeah, I guess it is. I remember moving down here and I couldn't get out of the country fast enough. I grew up with goats and chickens, and I was giving the goats hay and collecting chicken eggs and getting attacked by the damn rooster in the morning. We had this really aggressive rooster, and
oh my gosh,
I couldn't get out of the country fast enough. And now that I've been down here long enough, I always joke the best part of New York is leaving it, because it's so nice to get.
It was so nice to get out.
The redneck in me is, and I go back up hunting and fishing and all this.
I think. We're so lucky that like in an hour and a half, you can be in like such nature. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And like all directions. I was in Poconos last weekend, but I've done plenty of time upstate New York and plenty in Connecticut and plenty Long Island, and like I think we're very lucky.
It's insane that you're absolutely right. Like I was looking at places in the Catskills, and I'm like, oh, only 2 hours out of the city, and it's like an entirely different life and people.
Like the smell.
Yeah.
You open your car door and you're like, wow, that's good.
I remember I brought my a girlfriend from the city, upstate New York, and they were afraid because it was dark. Like, because we don't have, where I'm from, I'm in the woods. We really don't have neighbors, still don't have cell phone service. We still cut trees and split wood and season it, heat the house with the wood stove. And they were seriously uncomfortable with the darkness. Like, and the silence too. That's what they said. The silence was deafening.
Yeah, like it's a little creepy.
Yeah, I guess it is. I never felt comfortable living up there either.
I actually moved from like the suburbs to the country at age 12, so I always felt a little creeped out. Like, I'd look at the glass out the window and kind of see your own reflection, but think it was a face looking at you, because like you can't see a house or a light out there. It's terrifying.
I remember when I was a baker for a long time when I was in middle school and now to high school, and you work really early as a baker, and I remember one time I saw something and I jumped and ran, and it was my shadow. It was fucking pathetic.
Hilarious.
But yeah, I miss the country life, but something about New York keeps pulling us back in. There's a lot. I definitely think running a business in New York and the opportunity and that energy that the city has, it fits well with my personality. I've grown to realize, because I'm very much a type A. I like being busy. I like working. I'm doing something I enjoy anyways. Yeah, sure, same. Which is what I'm a big advocate of, pursue something that you're passionate about. You can typically find a way to make money follow. I mean, even if you could pay your bills and live well on something that you're doing. I mean, if you work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's a lot of hours for how many years? To be waiting for the weekend? Yeah. No way. But, and I do feel like people have that in them. That's another reason why I wanted to do this, because I think you're a walking example of that. I do like what I do. But I think, I remember in my early 20s, I was at a party, and my boyfriend was mad because I was talking to people, and I was like, well, I was connecting them. He was like, you're always connecting people. Why don't you become an agent? Huh. And it was a throwaway comment, and
I never thought about it again. I never thought about being an agent, like as a career path. I was never going to castings and saving contact names. Like, you know, it was just scribbled in my thing. And then I remember one of my clients saying to me once, you should be an agent. You'd be a good agent. Like, you understand both sides of the business. Yeah, maybe. You know, it just never really was what I thought I would do. And then here I am, you know. So, but the truth is, it's because I like talking to people, and I like matchmaking.
Wow.
You know,
you could do a dating website. You'd probably be good at that.
Actually, I've like done a little matchmaking here and there, but no like major matches yet. No one's been married yet.
I once photographed for a dating site of sorts. They were like agents, and they actually do the corresponding up into the point, like as that person up to the point of when they meet at the restaurant. They set the restaurant. It's weird. I didn't even know that's legal.
It seems so odd.
Very sketchy. And of course, imagine the type of person that does this, that signs up for this.
Yeah.
Like that their social skills must be that off where they can't do anything. Or they're like
so busy and like they don't want to put the time in.
Right.
It's not a great place to start from.
Most of them are creepers. First and only time I ever called back and I said, you really should do a background check on this. But like he is not right. Look into this one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've never had to do that before.
Wow.
Yeah, and interesting characters we come across in the city.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything else you want to share? I
think the one thing we mentioned before we started recording that we would possibly talk about was like makeup. If a model, actor should invest in the makeup artist.
Yes, I want your opinion on this.
So, I don't always know if they did or not, you know what I mean? Because once we connect them with the photographer, you guys kind of take over that conversation. And I've had some photographers say, oh, I don't use a makeup artist, like I'll do retouching, it's going to be good, don't worry. And then I've had others who are like, and the package comes with a makeup artist. But sometimes I see bad makeup done, and I'm like, oh man, I was so excited to get these photos, and now I'm looking at something that's like, a meh instead of a yay, you know, it's like a 6 out of 10 where it could have been a 9 or 10 out of 10 because the makeup is not marketable. Right. It could be too much, it could be too little. And so I tend to think if the makeup artist is available and reasonable and good, you go with it. I've also had models say, I hated my makeup, and the makeup artist did my eyebrows too dark, and I look like I have caterpillars on my, and like now I hate all my photos. And I'm like, well, why didn't you speak up?
Yes.
To both of those. You agree?
Yes.
Get the makeup artist, but make sure you're speaking up and you like the makeup artist.
Yes. And I have a developing opinion on this too. So in the past, hair makeup is always an optional add-on. And I was an advocate. Actually, in the beginning, I was for both men and women. Now, for men, I would talk them out of it. Because for men, you can create... The resolution is so great on cameras now. I mean... Especially when you shoot tight, if they have makeup application, you will see makeup on them, and that's not a good look for men on headshot. You can create a more natural finish in post-production than you can trying to cover up blemishes with makeup. And you would have to retouch.
Because you can blend in the retouch.
You can. Right? There's a million and one ways to eliminate those things or reduce them, whatever. And if it was they're using makeup, you'd still have to retouch that because you don't want to see a makeup spot on them anyways. So for men, really the only concern is either if they're super red, but even that's easier to fix in post, or shine, blot pads, shine free powder, but you know, they can do that. They don't need to spend $250 on an artist for that. But for women, so the thing with hair and makeup is everyone has their own way of doing it. And if it's not done the way they like it, they'll hate all their photos. So how do you make sure that stays on course? Because you're letting an artist, that's another person with an opinion, do it the way they assume you might like it or what will look good.
Right.
The only way to make sure of that is that you have a voice. And so many actors, and I talk to them before and after, and during the shoot, to have a voice, and this goes for anyone doing their headshots or wherever, have a voice when you're doing your photo shoot. You're paying a lot of money to get your pictures done, and you really should get at least a year or more out of your photos. Like, get them the way you want them to look. Don't feel uncomfortable having an opinion saying, I normally don't do it like this. And tell them, like, the artist, like, this is how I have it done. Because that will happen where they'll end up saying, I don't Like they'll go home and and sometimes they'll even I ask, do you like how hair and makeup looks? Here's how it looks on camera. Is there any adjustments? Please have a voice. Everything looks great. Everything looks great. Then they go home. I really didn't like how this, and it's like, well, I can't force you to like pull answers out. And some of it can be fixed in post, but that's, as a photographer too, like that's kind of a cop out. Like, I will do it in Photoshop. We'll Photoshop it. You kind of want to get it in the shot, and also, unless they can really think outside of the box when they go through their photos, it's kind of good to see a rough template of how you like it, and not have to overlook caterpillar eyebrows if that's not what you wanted.
Right. Because then in that situation, it was a very sticky situation because she wanted a redo or her money back. And you're like going, well, I don't know whose side to take here, because I had referred the photographer and the other people were happy with the work, and I didn't hate the eyebrows, but I could see her point, and like hoped it could be retouched. And at the end of the day, was just really uncomfortable. But I think maybe a solution, I haven't actually thought of that till now, because we'll send the actors, particularly for headshots, or the models for their portfolio shoots, like a mood board. It's like something we create on Pinterest that's like the style we like, get an idea of outfits and styles. So maybe they should be doing the same thing with their hair and makeup. Take a selfie. This is me natural. Here's me what my hair was done at this event, and you can know what you're walking into wanting and expecting.
I think I think a mood board's a great idea. And another thing that I've been playing around with too is having them come with hair and makeup. They sort of set the tone, and then the artist finishes it. And I've found I have had good luck with that so far. Of course, someone that's like, I don't even know what a makeup brush is, then obviously I would say have the private session and let us build you from scratch. But a lot of, because a lot of actors just don't even want to spend the money. It's not even that they want it. They just don't want to spend the money on it. So it's like set the tone, and then I'll have our artist finish it. This way, it's in the direction of what you like, and then we just polish it and make it look good and camera ready. And I've been playing around with that approach too. So far, it's been successful. I mean, there will always be something will go awry. Someone won't like something. That's just the nature of it. You try to avoid it, but
statistically, you can't please all the people all the time. My grandmother used to say, "You can't please all the people all the time. You can please some of the people, some of." When I was a whole
some of the people, some of the time.
It's
true though.
Some of the time, some of the people all the time.
You can be the nicest person in the world. I mean, I try to be pretty nice. I stand by my work when I shoot, and I put my images up. This wall turns into a projection screen.
Oh, cool.
So anyone that photographs with me, or their pictures are downloaded and projected up on a 250-inch projection screen.
Wow.
We go through all their pictures while they're here before they even leave.
That's amazing.
And sometimes we'll do favorites. So like, I try to make it impossible for them to go home and be like, I don't like my pictures. It's like, what?
Right.
We did test shots. We looked at them while we were shooting. We downloaded them, put them on 250-inch screen.
Crazy.
You have to.
You did my actor Cole, and his shots were amazing. Yeah. Shout out to Cole.
He got cool stuff.
He did, and he gets called in like, I would say, every week.
And he photographs really well.
Amazing. You brought like these different characters to life together. It was really cool.
And he's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
I enjoyed working with him. He's an interesting dude, but his pictures came out equally as cool and like I'm so happy you like them. I feel like we kind of took a bold decision on that too, but I felt like, oh yeah, I have to shoot him like this because it's gonna look good.
Oh, with like the shirt open, and the jacket open,
Even the lighting was edgy. It was dark, it was moody. I had a feeling like just talking with him and acting like, all right, he's probably playing these types just based on how he looks and acts.
Right.
But I was really hoping, I'm like, oh, I hope you're going to get them and either be like, these are great, or this is way off the mark. You need to go back and do something different.
Loved
I'm so happy about that.
Like, you capture an essence, and that is, I think, what gets people called in a room.
That's nice to hear. Yeah, sometimes you make a decision, but
I think the generic like headshot is
boring.
Yeah, it's not going to jump out of the page.
It's not interesting. Yeah, it's a fine line of riding it, because you can't get too where it's like an avant-garde picture where it's like an art piece.
You can't be too artsy either.
Yeah. You try to ride the line a little bit. I've been trying to keep it a little bit edgier, but I do my best.
Cool. Well, this was awesome, Sean.
Yes.
It's so nice to meet you.
It was so nice getting to meet you and hear your successful story. And I'm really happy you came in. It's so nice, again, to actually have a face to the name and have a real conversation too.
Totally.
Yeah. So thank you.
And we'll have to like find a pickup truck and bring that back.
Do a kegger.
At least once more in our lifetimes, right?
I'm totally down. I'm totally down. If I get a place in the Catskills, you know where we're gonna be doing it.
All right, cool.
Is your husband from? Is he Northeast?
He's an LA guy.
He's an LA guy, so he doesn't hunt or fish or anything like that.
No.
No.
Nothing like that.
I'm assuming you're not a hunter
He
or
plays
fisherman.
really good guitar and writes beautiful songs.
Oh, that's
No, I don't hunt
just
or
as good.
fish either.
Yeah.
I remember walking into my friend's garage and seeing like the deer hanging. I was freaked out. Yeah.
Didn't lure you in to want to
No,
do that, huh?
definitely not.
Yeah,
No,
I get
no.
it. I get it.
I like bird watching.
Fair enough.
Much more gentle things.
Okay, just without the gun.
Yeah.
Okay, Melissa, thanks again.
Thank you.